another video. This video, I'm here with my Jacksonville Jaguars 2021 7th round mock draft 2.0. This is the second 7th round mock draft that I've done for the Jacksonville Jaguars so far this offseason. And the reason why I'm doing a second 7th round mock draft for the Jacksonville Jaguars is because the last one that I did, which was like a month ago, was before free agency. Now that free agency has taken place, Jacksonville has filled some of the team needs. So now that forced me to have to make a second round mock draft to reflect the signings that Jacksonville Jaguars made in free agency. And the Jacksonville Jaguars had a pretty good free agency. I really like the signing of Marvin Jones, but they still have some needs there. I feel like they could still use a pass catching tight end. They also could use a third down running back as well. And they probably could add a couple of more pieces on defense, such as a safety. So before I get into it, make sure that you guys like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm going to be doing 7th round mock drafts for all 32 NFL teams as we near the start of this year's NFL draft, which is in a couple of weeks. So with the first round selection, number 1 overall that Jacksonville Jaguars have, I have them selecting Trevor Lawrence out of Clemson. We pretty much already know that Trevor Lawrence to Jacksonville Jaguars is pretty much set in stone. Urban Meyer has did everything but confirmed this, so we pretty much know that Trevor Lawrence is going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar with the number 1 overall selection. With their second first round selection, have them selecting safety Trevon Moehrig. Now, Trevon Moehrig, in my opinion, is the best safety in this draft class, and this really isn't a great draft class when it comes to safety. And when you think of it, we really haven't had a great safety draft class in a very long time. So I think if there was a safety that you could make an argument that deserves to go in the first round, it probably would be Moehrig, because this guy's just a complete all-around safety. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, has good size. He's a good tackler. He's really good defending against contested catches as well. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars need some help at safety last year. I felt like that was kind of holding them back with that secondary that they had. Now you bring in Trevon Moehrig. You're going to pair him up with his two cornerbacks being Shaquille Griffin and C.J. Henderson. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars could be on the way to becoming one of the best young and up-and-coming secondaries in the NFL with the selection of Trevon Moehrig. With their second round pick, 33rd overall, having selected tight end Brevin Jordan out of the University of Miami. Now, I think Brevin Jordan is the second best tight end in this draft class. A lot of people are probably going to argue against that because you still have Fryerman from Penn State. But when you look at Brevin Jordan, this is a guy who not only is a really good blocker, but this guy is really athletic. In my opinion, I think he may be the second most athletic tight end in this draft class behind Kyle Pitts. Now, one thing that Jacksonville Jaguars are missing in this offense is a true pass catching tight end. They already have a tight end that's pretty good in run blocking, but now Urban Meyer is looking for that X factor at the tight end position, and I believe that Brevin Jordan is a guy who would come in right away and have success as a rookie in the Jacksonville Jaguars system. Now, you don't really see a lot of rookie tight ends have like a major impact their rookie years because tight end is one of the more difficult positions in the NFL. It normally takes a couple of years for a tight end to really start hitting their stride, hitting their ceiling. But I think Brevin Jordan could come in right away and contribute in this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. So I have him going to Jacksonville Jaguars with their 33rd overall selection. I have Rondale Moore, wide receiver out of Purdue, going with their second pick of the second round, 45th overall. Rondale Moore is going to be a phenomenal slot receiver by whichever team he gets drafted by. Now, I do think that Jacksonville Jaguars would probably be the best fit for Rondale Moore because you can easily insert him in the slot. You also can utilize him a bunch of other scenarios as well, such as halfback in certain situations. He can also return kickoffs, and punt returns as well. So Rondale Moore has a lot of upside to him, but the downside is that, this is a first-round talent, but he has injury concerns. He hasn't really played in that many games. As a matter of fact, I can't recall the last time Rondale Moore played a whole entire college football season, so you do have the durability issues there. But for Jacksonville, you're looking for a slot receiver, and I think Rondale Moore is definitely your guy. He definitely fits the mold of what Urban Meyer would like out of a wide receiver. You have a wide receiver who has pretty good hands and is incredible once he has the ball in his hands. So Rondale Moore to the Jacksonville Jaguars with the 45th overall selection in the draft. Now, moving on to the third round, 65th overall, I have cornerback Elijah Molden out of UW, University of Washington. Now, Elijah Molden may be one of my favorite defensive prospects in this year's draft class because of the versatility that he has. He can play slot corner. He can also play safety as well. So you have some versatility there. So you can move him around on the defense. But on top of that, he is really good in coverage. As a matter of fact, he has allowed 0 touchdowns all last year. He's only allowed 2 touchdowns in the last 2 seasons during his time in Washington. He has great IQ. He's great in man-to-man coverage. The biggest concerns about Elijah Molden is first, he doesn't have incredible size. If you wanted to move him at safety, he's only 5'10", 190 pounds. On top of that, his speed and athleticism are kind of a concern. He's not the most athletic guy. He's not the fastest guy neither. So you're getting a little bit of limited upside when it comes to his athletic ability. But overall, I think he has all the intangibles and all the traits to be a really good player at this level with the versatility that he's going to bring to the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. 107th overall, I have offensive tackle Adrian Ely out of Oklahoma. Now, Adrian Ely has incredible size. He's 6'6", 321 pounds. This guy is a massive human being. This guy is a freight train. He, along with his nice size and nice frame, he has quick feet. But the downside is that he is a below average run blocker. So you're getting a guy who isn't really going to give you all that much in the run game at this stage that he's in right now. He needs a lot of development. But I think if he's able to get better when it comes to run blocking, this guy has potential to be a above average offensive tackle in the NFL. And I think for the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, your offensive line isn't bad, but you could use, a piece or two, and you could use a little bit more depth there. And I think at this part of the draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars are probably looking for depth guys at this point and guys with high upside and high ceiling. And I think Adrian Ely is that guy that you're getting a little bit of a development player, but if you're able to get him playing at his full potential, I think you have an above average offensive tackle. Now, with their next pick, I have them taking halfback out of Kansas, Puka Williams, 131st overall. Puka Williams probably is my favorite halfback in this year's draft class. He's 5'9", 175 pounds. He fits the mold of more of a Tyreek Cohen, Derek Sproles, third down kind of halfback who's good on third downs, who's good catching the ball out the backfield as well. He's also a mismatch when you line up certain kinds of linebackers on him as well in the slot. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you're still looking for a third down back, and I think Puka Williams can be that. 5'9", 175 pounds. Not the biggest guy, but like I said, he has great hands coming out the backfield. He is a great one-cup change of direction back, elite acceleration and burst, but he's not a good blocker. So that's going to be the downside. That's going to kind of limit how many snaps he can get per game, with the fact that he's not really that great in in pass blocking protection. So when it comes to pass blocking, that's not really his strong suit. When you have a guy who's 5'9", 175 pounds, I don't really think you're going to have him on the field in terms of, pass blocking scenarios. On top of that, he doesn't really fight through contact. So he's kind of like a Dre Archer, Chris Rainey kind of speed back. He has good hands out of the backfield, but the downside is you don't really have great size. You don't really have a guy who can run in between the tackles, and you have a guy who isn't great accelerating through that contact and isn't good in pass blocking. So that kind of limits the potential and upside that Puka Williams has, but I do think he has, the intangibles and the skill set to be a really good third down halfback, and that's what the Jacksonville Jaguars kind of are missing right now in terms of the talent that they have on offense. Now, 146 overall, still in the 4th round, I have defensive tackle Lorenzo Neal Jr. out of Purdue going to Jacksonville Jaguars. And that name may sound familiar. Yes, he is the son of one of the best fullbacks of all time, Lorenzo Neal. He has good agility, good short area quickness, which is something that you don't really see a lot out of a guy who's 6'3", 315 pounds. For a guy this big, this guy can move, and this guy is really scary. He does a lot of work behind the line of scrimmage. He creates a lot of quote havoc plays. For those guys who don't know what havoc plays are basically plays that destroy basically havoc plays are players who are able to create havoc and get a lot of plays behind the line of scrimmage. So for the Jacksonville Jaguars, you still need some more depth on that defensive line. You need some guys who are good against the run, and Lorenzo Neal definitely fits that bill. Now I don't know if he has that much talent when it comes to his ability to rush the passer, but you are getting a guy who is pretty good against the run. Now he struggles with his pad level. He gets put on his butt a lot due to not having the proper leverage, but pad level and things like that aren't something that should be a long-term, issue, because in the NFL you have some of the best coaches in the world, should be able to clean that up throughout training camp. So going to the next round, the 5th round, 171st overall, Jack Anderson out of Texas Tech. Now, Jack Anderson is an offensive guard. I think he's kind of underrated because he's a really powerful mauler. This guy he's just an absolute bruiser. It reminds me a lot of Jack Conklin with how nasty he is. This guy is a really quick and powerful run blocker, especially in the run game. He's good in a power run system, but one downside about Jack Anderson, which I think is holding down his draft stock just a little bit, is that he is inconsistent in the run game. So, I mean, he's a really good pass blocker, but he has inconsistencies in the run game. But if he's able to become a better run blocker, then I think the Jacksonville Jaguars could end up having a potential starter on their hand. I wouldn't be surprised if Jack Anderson was able to start day one, because I feel like he's that good. Now, moving on to the last couple of picks, I have them taking Warren Jackson out of Colorado State University. He reminds me a lot of Preston Williams. He's 6'6", 219 pounds, has great hands, great size, great wingspan, but his route running needs a lot of work. He also struggles creating separation, which was similar issues that we saw from Preston Williams, who now plays for the Miami Dolphins. But, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think one thing that they need is a big body, deep ball threat, and I think that's what Warren Jackson is. You're not asking Warren Jackson to run the whole route tree. Warren Jackson, you basically put him on your field and you say, hey man, we're going deep to you 30 yards down, 40, 50 yards down the field. That's kind of what the Jacksonville Jaguars could need right now, is a big body deep threat, and that's what Warren Jackson is. Now, he does have potential to become a better overall wide receiver, but overall Warren Jackson for the most part is just going to be a bona fide 50-50 ball wide receiver until he's able to hone some of his route running and things like that. So this is it for my Jacksonville Jaguars 7th round mock draft 2.0. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the comment section.